Our next speaker goes without mention. He's put a lot of effort into his company, and he's the owner of Buffalo Analytics, and it has come a long way. So everybody, please welcome David Pretorius.
Hello. Morning, everyone. FMD, the reality of today. How's it currently looking? Where is it? And what has Buffalo Analytics done over the last 4 years? To give you a brief history of Buffalo Analytics, 4 years ago, 5 years ago almost, WRSA approached me and asked, can we solve this buffalo issue? Our farmers are struggling. And what were the farmers struggling? The farmers were struggling with the administrative processes of moving and testing buffalo to get a vet on the farm because of the lack of resources, the capacity. We started to investigate this relationship between state veterinarians, the regulatory processes, the testing processes, and that's where it all started. 2 years after initially doing some research, engaging with the state, we figured out where we can help, and that would be a authorized private veterinarian system, of which we were 10 veterinarians authorized initially. We unfortunately lost a friend. We're 9 now, and hopefully 14 soon. And these veterinarians, of which I'm the first, are the only private veterinarians allowed to test buffalo without the presence of the state. So it was a great achievement, and everyone said we wouldn't be able to do it, yet we got it done. But through those processes, we learned how the state functions and how regulations function and how disease control functions. Now, if I can ask anyone here, how many buffalo has been involved in FMD outbreaks since 2019? Anyone? 0. Okay, so what did cause it? Disease-free buffaloes. I like your classification. It's the other buffalo, it's not our buffalo. Okay, so our current situation, we've got actually multiple outbreaks across the country, almost all provinces involved, and mostly connected to the movement, the uncontrolled movement of animals. We've got a situation where vaccine has been a problem. It was never the availability of vaccine, it was the availability of import permits. And then we're sitting with a very difficult situation in Limpopo, especially with our buffalo or reservoir host vulnerability. Now, can anyone tell me how many buffalo farms are there in Limpopo? 350. We've got it going. Anyone higher? 1,350. Thank you, Paul. Anyone want to take me a little bit higher? 1,655, 51.8% of the country's buffalo farms are in Limpopo. It's the highest density anywhere in the country. So it is really difficult once we have this disease enter. Just want to quickly show you, this is the last year of how FMD has moved through our country. And you can see that it originally started in the north of Natal. And we've got 4 buffalo farms that has become positive there, due to the fact that cattle introduced it into those farms. And we can really see that this thing is, it's like a veld fire. Don't you see that? It's just getting some speed and etc. And it's going quite well. So that's up to date up to yesterday. So what is our first task in fighting FMD? It's surveillance. Anyone here want to know what is surveillance? What is the role of surveillance? How does it work? Well, it's a state function. It involves testing, reporting, it involves notification, it involves keeping track of all the SATs, 1, 2, and 3, and all the topo types, and it's a very much state function. And that's the function of OP, the OVI. That's why we send things there, that's why we check it, that's why we genetically analyze it, to see what this virus is doing, because we need to study our enemy. So what does that look like? Well, my internet just wants to go. It looks like a tower overseeing a vast area, looking for what? An outbreak for smoke. Okay, now tell me, how do farmers know there's a fire? You see the smoke. It's quite obvious, isn't it? And what do? You get onto your WhatsApp and you let everyone know. And when everyone knows what's going on, we can coordinate. Have you tried fighting a fire on your own, not knowing where the smoke is, not knowing where the disease is? Because that's currently the problem, is that our surveillance is needed by OVI, by us on the ground, to know where to fight the fire. Now, if you as a farmer do not report, how will we know where to come together and fight this fight? So we're bringing the labs and the vets into the same picture by placing these results on a map that is shared and public. So long it has been waited until something has been confirmed, and that fire has just started getting some speed. No fire just starts and suddenly burns down 1,000 hectares. How many of you have lit a asgat? How many of you blamed the poor guy that lit the asgat? Is that not what we're doing with each other? We're blaming each other for someone that lit the asgat 6 years ago now. What's it, 6, 7 years ago? And we're 7 years. Thank you, Sean, for correcting me. 7 years ago, someone lit the asgat. And we're still trying to crucify that guy. We need to stop that. We've got 1 million hectares burning down, destroying the lives of people. Let's work together. So as state vets, we are seeing the risk is growing, as private vets as well. And this whole picture of bringing anything together allows us to get better support for permit decisions. It doesn't replace them. It brings in private and state vets, and hopefully we can coordinate with someone looking from a top view, from a bird's eye view, and communicating that well, where to fight. Now, I'd like to ask these firefighters, I think some of you are farmers here, eh? We've got one of two. Where's fight the fire? Have any one of you rushed into a fire and start hitting it there in the middle? Doen julle dit? Nou hoekom end ons daar? Slat hom maar dood in die middel. Just asking a question. So this is the active, the red is the confirmed cases, orange is the suspect cases, and the red is sort of a risk zone, roughly about 25 kilometers. It's much larger, but it can maybe be a quarantine zone of 10 kilometers, but this can be set up to give you an idea of where it may jump to. So if we look in our situation, there are cases of 12, 14 kilometers. This will give us a very good idea of where to be careful. But if we do not share this map, how would you know? It's important to know. It's important to report. So once we know about a case, suspect, or confirmed, we click on our little map and we notify those people within a radius. Telegram, email, WhatsApp, immediately. Now you can say, well, you've given my location, sir. Well, you give us consent. We do ask for that. But tell me, do you want to set your neighbor's farm on fire? Is that the type of people we are? It's better to let us know. FMD, suspicion alert, that's what's going on. It tells you roughly it's 63 kilometers from you in a northeast direction. And we actually work out this report for your farm, because you need to make decisions tomorrow morning. Are you going to load your cattle and take it somewhere? You need to be on top of it. Now let's see what have I got here. Nope. Anja. Any case, I'm gonna. This is a video of embers burning. If you can move it on so long. If we have a fire burning and we've got a very high density area, sickle bush, grass grown in this high, and that's burning quite heavily, how far does those little embers get carried by the wind? It's quite far. And it's very important because that's how amplifiers work. The amplifiers of this disease is our pigs. So once it gets into pigs, we've got a very high virus load. It's getting shed, and that can be carried very far. It's a high intensity fire. We need to control that or vaccinate that before it gets in. Now, if we have such a high fire burning and embers being carried by the wind so far, how far is that area we need to backburn? Because we don't fight fire from the inside, we do backburn. That's ring vaccination. So how do we drive that? Now, backburning, it's building up of an immunity barrier around the cases. And that takes 14 to 21 days. So the distance we select from that burning area, from that fire, is based upon the epicenter, the conditions with regards to humidity, wind direction, everything. And at some point, all these inputs become just so much. So how do you model that? So it's a very interesting, and we'll go into the vaccine priority index on some of the factors we are taking into account to determine that. So the question is, who do we vaccinate? Who do we vaccinate first? Can we vaccinate buffalo? We can't. So should we not put up a barrier maybe between buffalo and the fire? If we've got 21 days, how important is it to raise that barrier of immunity? Because once it's in the reservoir, we've got problems. Have anyone seen that pit somewhere in the world that's continuously just burning off the gases? Just burning, 50 years, 60 years. That's your buffalo. Has any one of you felt a fire and then 2 o'clock in the morning they said it's burning again? That embers or that coals that was under a harde kool caught a bit of wind. That's sort of the picture you need to have with the reservoir hosts. And then the question comes, who do we vaccinate first? Who of you are important? Maybe none of you are important. Maybe we should have a fight. So which sector takes priority? Everyone is important. Everyone should have the opportunity to be vaccinated. Certain sectors of farming operations need earlier protection than others. Why? If it's in our pigs, we've got a 70 to 80% mortality currently. There's 7 farms done. We've heard about African swine fever, 9,000 pigs in Gauteng. It's now another herd of 17,000. Dead, 100% mortality. They're killing them, 60 people of team of 60. I know the team. They're killing them. 2 crane trucks, just thrown in pits. You can't even slaughter those pigs. Control diseases in general is not a game. It's not something taken lightly, and it's also not something fought alone. So how do we choose? Again, everyone is important. So the vaccine priority index looks at the distance to the epicenter, the active outbreaks, the confirmed, the suspect. It looks at our reservoir hosts, wildlife. It looks at our amplifiers. It looks at our high mortality cases. A high mortality might be beef cattle that's got a high composition of calves. If you've got a 50% or a 40% calf, young calf composition, we should vaccinate you maybe before the guy that's got steers, because you're going to experience high mortality. Now again, let's go back. I said everyone's important. So we're only trying to determine who's first in the queue in an area. We're not trying to say yes or no to someone. We're trying to say yes to everyone. But if tomorrow morning I have to vaccinate all of you, 300 of you, do you think it is in my capacity to get to every one of you? We can sit here. Do you think it's in my capacity to have a conversation with each one of you? Okay, so how do we structure that? And that's the same with vaccine. If the vaccine arrives tomorrow morning, 10 million doses, who do we go to first? And the idea we have with this vaccine priority index is when you look at those videos, I don't know if you guys enjoy those videos where they hit the dominoes, and it goes into a single file, and then it goes into 3, and then it goes into 10. Have you seen those videos? Do you guys watch YouTube? Do you guys know YouTube? Excellent. Okay, so what we're trying to do is select the domino that will have the most profound effect on this domino effect when removed from the queue or removed from the chain. So we're trying to select the farms that's going to have the best effect in trying to stop this domino effect. So again, also looking then second last there at the high pathology. Do you think a bull that has lost its interdigit lamina has got damage and it can't walk properly, do you think that bull can mate 40 cows? You see how important this is for your stud animals? Maybe it's important to take that into consideration. And then also the concentration of animals. If you've got one buffalo on 10,000 hectares, or one stud bull, do you think he's going to ever come in contact with anything that looks like FMD? What about our dairy herds that's got 800 cattle or maybe 50 hectares? So the concentration or the density of the animals, more accurately, will then determine that. So where do we need to vaccinate? How many do we need to vaccinate? What species? The domino effect, ring vaccination, and oh, there's my burning embers. They've pitched up. There's a fire. Okay. So ring vaccination, if we do it properly, the inside can be as active, as burning as it wants. It cannot jump. You understand? So if we do this properly and we approach this properly and we make that ring large enough, we can have active cases in the center and we can control it. And once you've given our data, we break it up into municipalities and districts, and this is a lot of the work John has also done, a bit more maybe in detail than we have. We're just starting to get the requests, and we want to sort of know, okay, well, we are going to vaccinate that municipality. Now the question comes in that area, if we, where's Carly? Carly's here. Daar's Carly. So Carly, môreoggend, who are you going to pick? Okay, so this is how the vaccine priority index looks visually. Each one of those little areas has got a peak. It's got a full donut. This is not very, this screen is nice if you guys want to come see. This one does it justice. But every one is like a mountain, and we're trying to select the peaks. And that's what we start. So if Carly's got to do 5 farms tomorrow morning, which 5 farms is she going to do? Which 5 is the technician going to do? And maybe which is the 10 private veterinarians going to tackle? So this vaccine priority index coordinates the rollout. If that 10 million doses come tomorrow morning, where does those doses need to go? Now, obviously, within those ring, not everyone may have cattle. Some may be crop farming, etc. But I don't know who to contact if you don't give me your details. And if we have to go klip pan 4-3 kakie, enigiemand hier? Okay, kom ons, you guys can see how logistically that becomes a challenge to find that. So that's why we work out the index for every single portion in the country. There's 500,000 portions. We work it out every night based upon any new changes made. And we are getting new hardware that the moment you actually place a suspect or case or a confirmed case, we will do the 50-kilometer radius new vaccine index for you within a minute. So that's how quick we can respond. How long does it take the state to tell us where the case is? Next year. Okay. So, movement control. I've seen a lot of guys fighting fires like this. Have you seen that? They run into a fire and they grab a bush and they run with that burning bush. Where? Back to their farm. Why? Because they want to set it alight. Is that how you guys fight fires? I'm pretty sure because that's how you move cattle. You go to that FMD outbreak and you go grab a bucket full of cattle and you take it back to your farm.
But you didn't know.
But you didn't know.
Why didn't you know?
Why didn't you know?
Because you don't know the virus.
Because you don't know the virus is in the incubation period.
Your neighbors are not.
Your neighbors are not reporting.
Maybe you yourself.
Maybe you yourself are guilty of not reporting.
Do you see how
Do you see how important this comes back to?
our very first
Our very first surveillance.
Okay.
Okay, if we don't report, we don't know.
And
And I don't think we are farming like this. I don't think this is how we farm.
but ignorance is
But ignorance is a problem with this disease.
and I think that's
And I think that's what we're addressing here today. We want to show you how important it is to join hands in sharing your information. Because if you knew this, if you knew you were picking up a bale of burning grass, would you take that back to your farm?
do we have any
Do we have any takers? No. Okay.
so let's build a better
So let's build a better way
and take hands with the
and
state,
take hands with the state and the farmers,
and we are assisting with
and we are assisting with movements.
so
So instead of movements from a blind ban, what is a blind ban? Stop. 6 months, no movements, no auctions, no out of hand sales, nothing, nada, nix.
what would that
What would that blind ban,
what would that do
what would that do
to our economy?
to our economy?
Who here sells land?
Who here sells Land Cruisers?
Oh, well,
Oh, well, no taker. No one's selling Land Cruisers.
Do you know that they
Do you know that they
will close the land
will close the Land Cruisers and the Toyota
in the towns?
because you will not be able to afford new cars?
The spur,
The Spur, will you be able to do a takeout with your family?
this,
This
and FMD
and FMD may destroy so much of our economy that there's multiple business affected.
You may not have the money.
You may not have the money to do a little pamphlet you want to print.
So we need to
So we need to be careful. But what about smart gates?
why don't we use technology?
Why don't we use technology?
In the 1900s,
In the 1900s, I don't know if Ampi touched on that,
up to
and up to about the 60s, 70s, we only used movement control. We didn't have vaccines.
I don't know if you guys
I don't know if you guys WhatsApped with that ring telephone. Did you guys do that? We didn't. But we have it now. Let's use it. So today, sudden bans can cause massive losses. So the goal is to have controlled, visible movements, and each movement forms a traceable step
in the whole picture.
in the whole picture.
And with better data,
We may have better, or fewer, blanket bans. So this is a bit small, I can see. This is a movement on Buffalo Analytics. We understand that there's hiccups. Our platform is fairly new to many of you, so our poor ladies are inundated with calls to suddenly take our little coffee shop selling the best coffee in the world out of a little sink kaya. And now we've got 1,000 people wanting that coffee, and she's the only one making coffee. So it's a bit difficult, so please bear with us. But as we improve our capacity, and our team of developers are working basically 24/7 to adopt and incorporate everyone, because we allow anyone on our platform, this will get better. But basically, we'll take you 5 minutes to do a movement. Or tell us whom the origin is. You can enter your veterinarian, and we check every veterinarian against the South African Veterinary Council. And why do we do that? It is important that when you select this veterinarian, the veterinary farmer relationship is established, and later on we'll use the same establishment of relationship to maybe roll out vaccine. But also this veterinarian may need to sign off on some documentation. We do a complete risk assessment based on all community reports, which is up to date in real time as you give them to us. And we compare it to historical data. I'll call it historical because in FMD, a month-old data is historical, but we give it to you. That's the WAI's data, World Organization of Animal Health. And it's called the World Animal Health Information System. So we check that daily if it changed, and we basically also give you an indication. This is unfortunately about 5 kilometers out.
and that's a bit of a problem. How does it look? This is your state veterinarian's view of your movement. We're trying to determine what is the most likely route you will move these animals via. We take that route into consideration, and we show, it's not very clear, but there's these little red areas where we have risk zones. And as our data obviously becomes more, it will be better. This is only community reports we're showing here, but we do that in a single application. The next thing we do is we do compliance checks. So as you know, Limpopo has piloted our software, and we've got other provinces we're in talks to. And we compared this movement to what we call the Limpopo Protocol 1 movement, livestock movement. And it basically checks if this movement contains any livestock. Is it moving within the province? Is it moving over the borders? Is it coming into the province? Now, this specific movement is wildlife, so it didn't trigger. But if it did trigger, we will have you sign off, the state veterinarians sign off on our platform, and we need to convince and work with our state vets. Remember, they also need to learn the system. A lot of them are on the system because we've been doing buffalo, and a lot of them that's been doing buffalo has said, please, David, please, just get the cattle on here. We can't sit with paperwork. It takes them 5 seconds to evaluate this and sign off. And we send you a, hope it's here, no, I didn't put it up, but this is a movement approved document, and it's actually a movement document we issue on behalf of the state with QR codes. I just want to show you. That's a QR code. You guys can scan this. Everyone's got access to this, so if you've got a roadblock, you can scan this. If anyone is concerned that anyone sees your data, the probability of this is 0.2 to the times 10 to the minus 38 of you guessing that number. It's a unique, it's called a UUID. So I think you're better chance of being hit in your bed with lightning 5 times in a row than guessing that. So I would encourage everyone to try. And let me know if you've done it, because then I'll buy you a big beer. Okay, so it's not possible. But what this does allow us, is where we do have the police involved, roadblocks, etc., to immediately evaluate the authenticity of the documentation, whether it's valid, whether it's been signed off, and whether they are on the route that they most likely should be. Obviously, we can't be perfect, but we can be close. Okay. So we've had movement control, and finally traceability. So this is the Tabatolo auction of buffalo. It's about 2 years ago when we launched at the Tabatolo auction, and we can see from that auction where the animals has gone. I think this picture is pretty much the same of any auction, any movement in the country. So the possibility exists, if we do have a problem with any one of those legs, that we can go back and find all the little spots in South Africa. Now, you remember that guy running with the fire? At least now we know where he's going. And we can go stop him. Hopefully we can get it under control. So where are we now? Okay, so we are handling vaccine requests. And our ladies will show you that. You load your profile, we map your farm and your amount of cattle. And you don't have to be exact. If you're scared we're giving it to SAR, we're selling it at 4 times the normal rate, and we will share the profits. Okay, so we don't do that. In any case, it's actually 8 times. But the movement controls, you can put up your numbers, and it's a request, guys. Why do we need these requests? Why do we want to know? Well, but the moment you've got your farm size, which you basically draw, we've got your animals, we know your density. And you just told us it's a dairy farm. Do you see how we can now take that data, that census data, we can even share that with Dr. John Gruwa, and say, improve your analysis. We'll improve ours as well. And then we start to build that vaccine priority index better and better. So our system is designed that as it gains data, it becomes more accurate. The question is, are you going to join? Okay, so move and control, the pilot has started in Limpopo. We've moved since Wednesday. We have gained at least 1,000 gray hairs on my head with about 40 movements. So we're getting there. And we will pilot this for probably the next 30 days, and I'm pretty sure it will go on longer. So the first state vets are signed, and those movements has been issued. Currently, we are already in talks, and it's been said that I can mention this here to you. And we have got the full support of the following auction houses that will fully integrate with us. It will take some time, so you have to bear with me and my team, but they are working. Corneille du Plessis will be fully integrated. Andre Korkensiens, fully integrated. Fly Central, fully integrated. Flexi Auctions will be the platform. And what's very nice is what does integration mean? Integration means you will not even know the difference. You will go onto Flexi Auctions. In the back end, our APIs will do all the checking for you and give your paperwork on a platter. We, as Buffalo and Livestock Analytics, take away the administrative burden that is placed on you. We help you to make decisions accurately in protecting the peoples around you. We will be integrating with feedlots, and I've already had talks with the feedlots, with a vaccine passport. And that vaccine passport, when we record your vaccination, and you guys heard about the QR codes and things, that will be all logged against that animal. Vaccine passports will only be issued for animals having an RFID. We unfortunately cannot certify things which we don't know exactly. So that will be linked to an RFID, and we also suspect that the protocols coming will be along those lines. So we're preparing our systems for that. And handing that over seamlessly at auction houses and for the feedlots will just allow better market access. So there's some of these auction houses that's already indicate that they would like to vaccinate at every auction. And that might be a very good thing. Because the question is, if we look at our communal cattle and all the things coming together at auctions, that might be an opportunity. It might not be ideal, we'd like to vaccinate them before. But my question I pose to you, how many dip tanks are functional in all the areas? Is it functional? Is it possible? Or is that an opportunity that they want to bring to the table in the fight against FMD? And how can we assist with that? So Buffalo and Livestock Analytics will be doing and assisting that. Our QR codes, again, unique. You can go and try and guess them. You will not guess the serial number. It's not 0, 1, 2, 3. It is completely random. NFC, the level of security for the tamper-proof functionality of this vaccine is roughly the same or better than your bank card. If you tap it, we even know the amounts of taps that NFC microchip has read. So we know that you've used the vaccine that comes from us. I do believe that it won't be long. If you look at the market, depending on how you evaluate it, the vaccine market is 500,000 to 1.5 billion per annum. Do you think someone would want to maybe try and crook? Do you think there is the possibility that someone would like to try and issue vaccine passports that is not really vaccinated? So every passport contains your veterinarian and your state veterinarian's countersigning to say that it's been vaccinated. Now, if we look at this passport, we're now talking FMD, but this same very passport can be used for your clostridials or your IBRs or anything you would like to vaccinate. And this can be something that gives you greater market access. At the end of the day, we need to put value back with our farmers. So what do farmers get out of this? What do you guys get out of our system? Well, you get an early warning system for your area. You've got a stronger case for vaccine allocation. So once we do your requests, we look at where you are, where you compare with everyone else, where the disease is, And we try and give a index of how soon you need to be vaccinated. It's also a better chances, fairer movement control. It's a step into proving your own good biosecurity, because we check what comes in and out, whatever's on the system. I mean, obviously, you can be a crook, but to manage crooks has been difficult even for our government. We want to strengthen the hand of those that are working with good integrity. So, and also it will prove your vaccine status. So standing together in this hard time, FMD is hurting everyone. Every single sector in this country. We've got a very large agricultural sector, so it's touching all of us. We have waited for others, and it hasn't worked. So we've built our own. We've got our own eyes and ears. We're a private company. We're not forced by anyone. We want to simply do the best, the very best I can think of, I want to do for you. And that our whole team has adopted and working literally hours just to get this ready for everyone. So going from 40 movements per month, we just shot up to probably expected 1,000 per day. Per day, if you look at the country. So it is a massive, massive change for us. You decide how far we go. I want to put it to you, everything regulatory on buffalo and livestock analytics is for free. Yes, we will make money. We do sell subscriptions if you want to put up some nice photos of Bessie. I don't know if you guys got Bessies. If you want to run a Facebook for your cow on my site, you will have to pay me a little bit of money. If you want to tell me that you've got a 55-inch buffalo on your farm and you want me to compare it to the country's averages, unfortunately, I'll have to charge you a little bit for that. So that's where we make money. We also have some very interesting electronic things outside where we look at your water tank level, we open your valves, we switch on your pumps, and we just make farming easy and lekker, and we'll take your money there. But when it comes to regulatory, when it comes to the stuff you need to do to make your farming operation work, there is no cost. So, some people have said, but we've charged. Yes, we have. What have we charged for? Well, we've charged for the labor for when Charlene or Steffi has to take your paperwork and baby you through the steps to get it done. That's a labor input. But once you know how to do it, it's just there. We just need to pay the ladies. Do you think that's unreasonable to ask anyone? Is that an unreasonable expectation to just have them do something? But from a company, we won't do that. We have investors. David has invested 5 million in the last 6 months to do the traceability of his vaccines. So that is covered. And thank you, David. You've taken our company from a little bit of buffalo to a lot of hard work. Would it be wrong to say that we are stronger if we pull in the same direction instead of each fighting FMD alone? Thank you.